welcome to the Smirk Studio. Today's project is going to be another gift or a gift project, I should say. It is going to be, we're going to decorate this little tin, and it's a similar size to the Altoid tins or the mint tins that you can get. You can also repurpose any other tin to for this. And again, you know, this can be the gift. You can add something inside as well, and we're going to do it a little bit differently. I was thinking about using some embossing powder to add color rather than the paint that we would normally use. So shall we get started? Today we're going to need the following. We are going to need our little tin that we are going to decorate. Colored aluminum, so I'm going to work with the black on the one side and silver on the opposite side, and Sookwang tape to adhere it to our tin. The design I'm going to use is, I'm just going to use one of these drafting or engineering stencils with a different sizes of circles on, so that's going to be my design. And for coloring, we're going to use embossing powder, and with that goes of course the embossing ink as well, or a pen if you don't have the pad, and your heat gun. And we're going to need tools, so we're going to use a paper stump and a Teflon tip tool, as well as a sanding block, because we're going to sand away the black color once we have got our circles on there. We're going to need Mod Podge and a paintbrush, and that is going to be to just seal our scrapbooking paper. So the scrapbooking paper is going to go on the inside of the little tin, and I'm not exactly sure yet if I'm going to adhere that with glue or Sookwang tape, but so either one, it will be with either one of the two. And then of course our scrapbooking paper that we're going to need to put on the inside, and then our paper pad and semi-soft surface and hard surface. I've traced the size of the pieces of paper that I'm going to need to go on the inside, and I'm just going to put it in my cutter. If you don't have a cutter, you can use scissors as well. It will work perfectly for that. And I'll just cut it to size. Oh, this one needs to be a little bit smaller. Most probably going to make a mess now, but let me just see. There you go. And put that aside, and the same for this one. I'm just quickly going to cut this. And then once this is cut, I'm going to grab my corner chomper, and I'm just quickly going to chomp off the corners as well. So this is a 1/2 inch. If you don't have one of these corner crimpers or cutters, you can just trace it or make a circle, and you can actually, if you have one of these, you can just put it over there and just do your circles like that, and it will just work perfectly inside your little tin. And some advice, once you've cut this, always just make sure, decide which one you want where. I think I'm going to, see, this one is too big. I think I'm going to put the stripes at the bottom, and I will do the circles on the inside of the lid. So there you go, so that when you open the lid, you go from circles to circles. And this one, I just think I'm going to trim it. Oh yeah, there you can see it needs a little bit of a trim there. And just come in with my 1/2 inch corner trimmer again, and just clean up that corner. And yeah, that looks way better, or it fits way better. First, I'm just going to add the Mod Podge to these ones. And usually I would decant my Mod Podge, but for now, I think because it's such a small area, I think I'm just going to leave it in here, and I'm going to need something to put this on. Let me just quickly grab something. I'm going to seal both sides. You don't necessarily have to do both sides. I will just give it a lasting, and it's really just a thin layer of the matte Podge that you have to paint on. And then we're going to put this aside, do the embossing, and then we can come back in and we can do the matte Podge on the opposite side of the little paper inserts. And this is a good way of using up your scrapbook paper that you have, if you have some, because I know there was a time when we all did the scrapbooking and we bought so many papers that we don't use anymore. Well, I do. So next is adding our embossing powder, and I'm just going to go around the tin and maybe do those like that. I do a little bit at the bottom, and again, I don't think this is going to give it a complete solid coverage. I'll try and get some on the lid on the sides too, yeah. And I think my ink pad is definitely on its last legs. I think everything of mine is on the last legs. I will definitely have to go and do, oops, don't want some there, a shopping trip to replenish all my stuff. Oh, okay. Oh, I should have opened this before the time. Oh, maybe I can put it down like that. So I'm just adding some embossing powder now. Let's see how many is actually sticking to the can. It looks okay. I think that should work. Because the whole idea is, you know, the Altoid tins is usually an older tin. So doing it like this, it gives it that distress look. Nothing much stuck there. But we will come in again later on and add some there. I'm sure there's an easier way to do this. If you have an easier way to do this, please let me know in the comments, because I tend to always do the hard, you know, try and do everything the hard way. Why, I don't know, but it just always happens that way. Okay. Ooh, there it goes all over these gloves. Look, I hope I'm going to get it out there. Some of it go out. Okay, and now for the, wait, let me use this pencil or the pen and just see if I can touch up some of these spots here that I didn't take. I'm either making a big mess here or it's going to work, either one of the two. And there's still the area that I didn't take. It's almost like there runs a line through. Let's see if I can do that. That. Well, I did say this channel is going to be about how you can struggle while you are busy doing things. Okay, so let's see if we can get our heating gun in here. It's most probably going to make a little bit of a noise, but I'm going to start it off. Just put this away before everything blows out. Moving on to the next step is we're just going to work with our colored aluminum, and oh yeah, it's cold to the touch now. So I want this to have that old distress look. So some places has you know, full coverage, others not. I might just decide to come in and to seal it with some of the Mod Podge. I'm not exactly sure yet. You know, as they always say, no animals were harmed when this video was made, but fingertips were definitely. So please, if you do that, make sure that you use a tweezer when you hold your tin, because it does get fairly hard. Okay, so let's start with this, and I'm just going to draw a couple of actually, I think what I'm going to do is I'll do it on the paper pad, and then I'll see if I can use this to pop it up as well. So, and at random places, I'm not really going to plan anything here. One there, and different sizes. I think this big one is just going to go off the paper, or not off the paper, off the aluminum, I should say. And let's go smaller. And it's just mimicking sort of the little bubbles that is on the inside of the paper. I got this idea when I looked at the papers. I was going through my papers and I was thinking, oh, what can I do on the inside for color? And then I saw this, the dots, and I was thinking, oh, that looks really good. Actually, you know what? I think this is enough. I think there needs to be a little bit of negative space as well. Smaller one. Yep, that one goes in there. So I'm just going to, maybe I must just tape that. And just quickly grab my tape, just so that you can stay in place. And you don't necessarily have to use a stencil. You can just make any designs or use you know, whatever paper you have. And this works exactly the same as a stencil. I'm just going to go in and I'm going to push it out up against the rim as if it is a stencil. I'm going to come in with my Teflon tip tool. I think I can go closer there. And I think I'm first going to use my little purple stylus, because just the point of it is a little bit wider so that I don't break through. So push it up against there and then come in with my Teflon tip tool, and our first bubble is done. So there you go. So these ones I will definitely fill. Ooh, okay. So that one is going to be the only perfect bubble we're going to have, because I obviously did not think this through, because when I'm going to go like this, I'm going to mess up some of the other ones. I don't know. I'm going to try. I'm going to see how it works out. Let's see. Worst case scenario is we can always come back and change it, or just pop it out again. So again, I'm just going in, coming in with my purple stylus, and then my Teflon tip tool. Flatten again and come around. So come in and just flatten it as you are working along. Grabbed a piece of metal tape, and the reason for this is when I was doing this little bobble, I don't know if you would be able to see it, but I broke through So there is a hole now, and or a cut, not really a hole, a cut. And if I'm going to fill this with beeswax, it is going to be a huge issue because the beeswax is going to run out to the front. So I'm going to come in and I'm just going to add a piece of the metal tape there. So that's always something that you have to keep in mind. You can fix it if you do break through your aluminum, or even for that matter your pewter. If you break through your pewter, you can fix it on at exactly the same way. You just add a little bit of your metal tape and just make sure that it covers the tear or the opening. At least it won't let your wax seep through. And there you go, and it is all fixed. Also, before I forget, something else I just want to mention: when you work with these bubbles and when you come close to the edge like these ones, sort of just do half a bubble, that you don't have this thick piece of wax that is going to stick out from the side, so that you have a good adherence at least on the border of your tape, your pewter or your color aluminum. Okay, I'm going to fill this up with wax and see you off. While waiting for the wax to warm up, I'm going to come in and I'm going to quickly add Mod Podge to the front of my papers, my scrapbooking papers, and this will sort of seal them in. And I also was thinking, I think I'm going to do the inside of the tin, the sides, also with the embossing powder. I wasn't planning on doing anything other to the inside except the adding the paper, but I think I would like to add some of the embossing powder to the inside of the can as well, or the tin, and just on the sides, not at the bottom or the inside of the lid, because that is, you're not going to see it once we adhere it. For this, I don't think I'm going to use the pad. I'm just going to come in with the pen, and I'm just going to run some there around. I might just do a little bit there while I've got that, and some on the inside. And the reason why I'm using the distress embossing ink, it is just because these tins are supposed to be old, so I figured it will just give them a sort of more authentic old look than what if you come in with the normal embossing powder that is going to give it a solid coverage. Okay, so let's see how this works now. And yeah, this part you don't need to your tweezer for, but you're definitely going to need your tweezer once you start bringing in that embossing or the heat gun. Oh, I forgot to go under the rim. See? Learn through your own mistakes as well. I never thought about going right under the rim, so I'm just going to do a little bit of a touch up here. And if you know, with your first round over, if you feel you want to do a little bit more, you can always go in and sort of touch it up. Like, let's say, yeah, you can go in and you can do a little bit of a touch up and add some more embossing powder. and just come in with your heat gun and re-emboss. So I'm going to do exactly the same as what I did with the outside, except this time I'm definitely going to use a tweezer to hold my when I use my heat gun. It with wax, and when I came to these areas over here, I didn't fill it right up until the end, and so that I know I'm not going to see any wax if I look at it from the side. And I really can't decide if I want to do something. And you know what, I just was thinking maybe I am going to do a rim, but I'm going to do it as well. I'm going to work on the back of my colored aluminum on the paper pad, and I'm going to use the big wheel, and I'm literally going to go right on the tippy edge. No, I think I'm going to go slightly in, and yeah, I think that maybe I'm going to work on my semi-soft surface rather, and see if I can get it in that same holes. And I'm just going to go all around, because this is going to give it another little bit of that bubble effect as well. And so try and line it up. Oh no, this is not very successful. Do you also have some of these projects that you do and in your mind you visualize it, but yeah, no, it just never pans out like that? And it seems to me, I had so much high hope for this one, but again, I think I most really like it in the end. But yeah, just continue on. If you have something like that, just keep on going and see what you can do. So let's see if we come in with our paper stump. We can flatten it. Oh, the sun has gone down here, and all of a sudden it's so dark. So I hope it's not too bad on the video here, because I've basically lost all my light within a couple of seconds here. Actually, no, it doesn't look too bad, because you still have that little bit of a bobble. It's a little bit skew on the corners, but I can live with that. Actual fact, and just go in and do another row on the corners, almost like a double row of bubbles. Let's see if this does the trick. Not really, but you still have those little bubbles that is there, which is just going to add to your bubble design. Okay. So as for the next step after this, we just going to come in and we are going to sand the bubbles. So also when I was working with the bubbles, some I did with the stencils, and some I was just pushing out, and others I've just used the cup and ball tool. So again, you know, there's different ways how you can do these bubbles. So sanding block, and we're just going to start sanding now. Just added a piece of paper towel underneath my block or my aluminum, so that if I sand, I don't sand my acrylic that I use for my wax. And I'm going to go in bubble by bubble. You don't necessarily have to do that. You can just go all over the place. I actually like that little extra line that it's got there. I just think it adds something. I don't know if everyone is going to have it, but yeah, we'll see. And again, you know, you can, when you are working on yours, you can decide how much of the black you would like to remove. You can remove everything and not even have that little bit of a circle there. I kind of like it, so I think I'm going to keep it there. And let's hope it comes around with every one of them. So not all of them is going to have the full circle. Even that doesn't look too bad. I'm going to try and get as much off out the center. So I'm just going to continue on. These little dome ones was definitely more difficult to sand than the other ones, and that's why I've just cut my sanding block up again, just to get it a little bit, you know, to get in there. So what I've decided was, because I've got those scratch marks there, and when I look at this can, it sort of have that rough distress look. So this looks pretty perfect. So I've decided just to come in at random and use my sanding block and just give this some sanding as well. But I actually think I'm going to go over to using the bigger one and just get some texture or distress. That's the word I'm looking for. Some distressedness, I guess. That it looks distressed on the background as well. And yeah, and then from here the next step is, I think I'm just quickly going to seal it, or no, maybe I'll actually, yeah, no, I'll seal it later on with the can. Instead of putting Mod Podge on here, I'll just spray the whole can when everything is done. So yeah, this one is all completed. And for this, I'm definitely just going to add some Sookwang tape, because I've already had this. This is actually, these cans are available as a kit, or the cans, the tins, is available as a kit with a little stencil that is there. So, or a stencil that is in the kit. Maybe I must put this down and try and line this up with the so can you see, although your metal stretch, it does shrink as well when you are working with volume. So I'm just going to trim this around to get it back to the same side, because we don't want any stickiness hanging out over our can or our tin. Why do I talk about a can the whole time? I really don't know. Okay, so Sookwang tape is on, and the same as with others, you know, just get something and come in and sort of give it a polish, because that way you know that you are adhering your Sookwang tape securely to that. Time to assemble. I've decided to do the Sookwang tape on these papers as well that we've sealed with the Mod Podge. And then this, so now it's just removing our backing, and then we're going to put it all together. Of course, what you can do is, if you want to, you can add little feet on here, you know, just to give it a little bit of height, but that is personal preference. Let's see, I'm going to get it in here because I want to get this in before the Sookwang tape goes down, because that's the one thing about the Sookwang tape. Once it's down, it's down. Okay, let's hope it goes in and down. Yep, there you go. It did go a little bit skew. That's fine. At least it's not noticeable that much. Because luckily there's lines that is lines that is running skew. And I'm going to put in the inside or the lid. Okay, I think oh, now it's done. Oh, there you go, it is in good. There's a little bit of a gap there, but that doesn't matter. Oh no, there's a gap there as well, so it's just the way that you cut it. It's sometimes really difficult to fit these things in 100%, or to cut them to shape 100%. And next up is our metal embossing component, or in this case our colored aluminum. And now it's just a matter, you know, are you going to put it this way around, which you want to have. I always think about top heavy, and I rather have my biggest pieces towards the end, that it doesn't feel top heavy. And now it's just more or less centering this. It was exactly the same size, but with all the height that we've added, our aluminum did shrink a little bit. So we're just going to make sure that it adheres very well. And because there's wax in, you can really go ahead and push it down and make sure that you get a good adhesion. And now I'm looking for that tool again that I keep on saying I must color in a bright color, and I just never ever get around doing that. Okay, so I'm just going to go around to make sure it doesn't lift up on the edges. And of course, what you can do now is you can come in with a metal stylus, and you can do little dots around there. I don't want little dots, but you can do small little dots, scratch that out, or, you know, just add some different details on here. And our tin is all completed. So we started off with the black colored aluminum, and we made the little bubbles on there, and then we filled them with wax, sanded off, and just give the background another sort of distress look as well. We add color to our tin by using embossing powders. It's just a different way that you can add color, and this really gives it that old rusty kind of feel and look. And then when you open your can, you have the nice little color accent on the inside. As always, you know, just think about the inside. Give everybody that little bit of a surprise when they do open a tin or something that you have made for them. So yeah, this is a nice little gift that you can give. You can fill it full of chocolates or anything like that. And yeah, as always, thank you so much for spending time with me in the studio today. And always remember, the world of reality has its limits. The world of imagination is boundless.